Hello, hello, hello. This is Coach Reggie, and welcome to Wide Open with Coach Reggie. This is the first show of many that I'll be doing every Wednesday night. I will be featuring an NFL player, hopefully. If I cannot find a player, I will get a coach or somebody, but the show will take place each and every Wednesday night. Tonight, I'm broadcasting live from Cafe Havana on 12th and Rodney Parham, owned by Mr. Jimmy Morris. He was grateful enough to let me use his spot tonight for my first show, and I'm grateful of that. This show will cover many topics. We'll talk about the NFL, college football, youth football, everything. Tonight in particular, we'll talk to my former quarterback, Quincy Carter, um, as we talk about the ups and downs of his career, where he came from, what he got going on now. And this is a show, guys, that you do not want to miss. I know Quincy very well, so the things he's going to tell you, I already know pretty much everything. But I'm going to ask him so that he can let y'all know what's been going on with him since he's retired from the NFL. Like I said, Quincy and I were really good friends, go way back to our days in Dallas when I first met him. And so it's going to be a great show tonight. And I can't wait to get it started with Quincy. Again, thank you all for tuning in to Wide Open with Coach Reggie as I deliver my first ever show here at Cafe Havana on 12th and Rodney Parham. Be right back. All right, and I'm back as I have sent the invite to Quincy Carter to get on. So we're going to wait patiently for him to get on so we can get on with the show. But again, thank you guys for tuning in to Wide Open with Coach Reggie. Not sure why. A bit nervous on my first show. I'm never a man that's shy for words, but hosting the show takes a lot of wit, a lot of guts, and again, this is something I've always wanted to do: is host my own show. And what better way than to host my own show by starting with my own production? So everything that you guys see tonight will be produced by yours truly, Coach Reggie. And I see I have guests on tonight. I have Sean Moore on, Jason Stevens. I see you, Dinah. I can't see the other ones, but I see those three. Again, thank you guys for tuning in as I wait on Quincy to get in. And there is my guy right there, Quincy Carter. Hold on, let me get the mic. There's my special guest tonight, my former quarterback. Let me give him the proper introduction as I may do so. Something I learned tonight, Q.
Oh God.
Something I learned tonight by looking you up. Something I haven't known since I've known you. Lavanya Quintel Quincy Carter. So tonight I learned my quarterback real name. Never knew your real name was Lavanya Quintel Quincy Carter. He became the Bulldogs' first freshman quarterback starter in 53 years, finishing with 9-3 record, number 16 ranking in the final AP poll, and winning 1998 Peach Bowl. He had a record-setting season, establishing school freshman marks for passing yards 2,484, touchdowns 12, attempts 290, and completions 176, while tallying 300 passing yards or more in 4 games. His 2,484 passing yards at the time was the fourth highest total in school history. Welcome, my quarterback of Dallas Cowboys, Quincy Carter. What's going on, man?
Man, what's good, Reggie? So that's how we gonna start this thing, huh?
That's how we gonna start, man. Hey, look, they say you can learn from a baby, man.
Hey, man, I really appreciate, man. Honestly, man, you having me on. Our relationship speaks for itself. Ain't too much to talk about it. It's real love. It's genuine teammate, friendship, love, man, and that ain't gonna never end, man. But I appreciate you having me on, though, straight up.
Man, I thank you for being my first guest, man. Let's start off, man, talking about, and we're gonna cover a variety of topics, Q. But let's talk about right now. Let's kind of start forward and work our way backwards. Let's talk about what you're doing right now. I know you're living in Austin, Texas, right?
Uh-huh.
And what are you doing right now currently?
Man, living in Austin. Actually, I moved up here almost about 3 years ago. I'm trying to adjust to this split screen now. This thing ain't got fancy right here. But but moved up here almost about 3 years ago, man. I went to rehab to really get my life together, man, and to really surrender to God, man, and surrender to this program of AA. But I've always had my quarterback school. Hadn't done it on this level. Kind of dipping in and out with coaching and doing some other things I ain't had no business doing. Just being real.
And we'll cover that a little bit later, but
yeah,
because I don't want to jump into that topic just right now. But go ahead.
Yeah, but man, out here working with these kids, man. Various ages from 7 on all the way through college. Doing camps and clinics all across the nation, man. Also, I worked for the rehab that I actually went to, BRC Recovery, and I'm actually an alumni coordinator, and then I manage a sober home too.
So since you want to go there, I'm gonna go ahead and jump in there with you. Let's talk about when you retired from the New York Jets, and you kind of went through some ups and downs. We're kind of going backwards, but we'll just touch on a variety of topics tonight. But a lot of people, don't know, what you went through after your football playing days. A lot of people think that when you play football, you end up rich and you set for life. They don't know the ups and downs you go through and the stress that you go through after you retire. I know I went through some dark days with family, with friends, and so you went through some darker days than what I went through. So talk about what happened to you after football from your drug abuse, what you were doing and how you bounced back.
Man, Reggie, I started a habit back in high school that eventually I couldn't stop once I got in the NFL, man. This started 15, 16 years old, dabbing in and out. Wasn't a big, weed smoker on an everyday level or whatever. But when I went off the baseball, my weed habit started to pick up a lot more. Ended up going back to college, to the University of Georgia, what have you. And what I basically taught myself, man, when I was going through some rough times, to pick up a joint and smoke, relax, kick back. And then it became, honestly, man, after that, using it for those instances, man, it became useful for just calming down as my career, started to take flight, in the NFL, man. Being a quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, man, that was big business. And so, how I dealt with it at times, man, is smoking. I wasn't a big drinker. Reggie, you was around me. But then, man, when I stopped playing football, I started messing around with X pills. My drinking, really started to get out of control.
Was that depression? Was that depression setting in? And was it depression because you no longer had the path of playing football? And as I know that when you play football your whole life and you don't have football any longer, then you kind of fall off the deep end and don't know where your next road will take you. So is that what happened to you?
It was the hurt and the pain of getting cut that day. August 4th, 2004. I can
I
remember it
remember
like it
that
was
day.
yesterday. Man. And it was that pain that I was dealing with. And then it was also the pain of not getting signed after I played with the New York Jets. And then when I didn't get signed there, the next year in 2006, went up to Montreal, and my issues followed me because I wasn't doing things to correct them, and it just it was like the snowball effect, man. It just kept getting worse and worse.
I can remember, and maybe you can too. So if you recall, remember in 2006 when we was working out over there at Carrollton High School, me, you, Rocket Ishmael, I forget who else it was, but we all were trying to get back in the league.
Mm-hmm.
And you was throwing at us every day. And I remember I talked to you afterwards, and you had said to me, you was like, Reggie, man, because I asked you why you smoked and why you did what you did. And
Mm-hmm.
you told me, you was like, man, being a black quarterback following Troy Aikman was hard.
Mm-hmm.
So talk about the pressure, number one, playing for America's team, playing for the team that you loved or you hated, but wherever you go, it's a crowd there. And then following Troy Aikman with all them people expecting you to step right in his shoes and do what he did.
Yeah, every day I always felt that pressure. But honestly, it was more of the weight too of being from Decatur, being that hometown kid, and not wanting to let people down. It was the pressure from my mom, my family, and then you fast forward to 2003 when we started really winning games, man. That was a whole nother atmosphere to deal with, and how I dealt with it was smoking. Now, I did get in the NFL drug program, and in 2003, I stayed clean throughout. We ended up going to the playoffs, and then that pressure went up to another level, man. And then my habits start creeping back up on me. And when I really look back in hindsight, Reggie, I wasn't handling the anxiety of the game the right way. Talking to somebody, talking to maybe a sports psychiatrist or something like that I know that can help me, deal with the mental state of the pressures that I was going through. So
But
then
some
what
will,
did I do?
but Q, some will look at that and say that's a cop out. You're making excuses. You were being paid all this money. Uh, what's the problem? Some would not look at that and say, "Oh well, you're making excuses now." This the owner, Jimmy Moore, is walking in. What's going on, Jim?
Hey, how's it going?
Again, we're at Cafe Havana on 12th and Rodney Parham. He got to step in and get some of his cigars. But yeah, talk about that, Q. About some would say you're making excuses. What do you say to those that say you're making excuses?
It was real. It was real. I know what I was dealing with, and I know how I handled my I know how I handle stressful situations, and I was smoking. So everything I was dealing with was real. Everybody deal with it, on their job, but they go about it, however they handle, their stress. I went about it, however. I went about it the way I went about it, and of course, it wasn't the right decisions, but it's no cop out. It's real what I was dealing with. Ain't nobody walked in these shoes. They didn't know what I was actually dealing with, man. So I don't even let that bother me, man, because I know what shoes I was in. I
Right.
know the position I was playing, and I know what it meant to a whole lot of people. And I just went about it the wrong way and should have handled my business in more of a better fashion, man, and getting the help that I really needed to talk about things that other people really couldn't understand. My mom couldn't understand what position I was really, in.
Q, and that's the
So,
thing, because when you talk about getting help, what a lot of people don't realize is they look at us as success stories. Black men came from the hood, we made it big, did things people dream of. They don't understand what our body go through, the mental, I guess, anguish that we go through, all the pressures we go through, and we need counseling. I went through counseling in 2000. Well, in 2020 for my depression. And people look at me and
mm-hmm,
say, "Well, Reggie, you're successful in what you're doing in life. How could you be depressed? We're human like everybody else." And so, what you're saying that you got help, I got help. I'm proud of you because I know what you went through. Uh, our teammate Randall Williams, at a certain point in time, he and I were the only two guys you could reach out to.
mm-hmm.
A lot of your teammates that you've been knowing since Georgia days and the Cowboy days, they turned their back on you. And there were times when me and Randall would sit up on the phone and listen to you just talk. But it wasn't but it wasn't Quincy Carter talking, it was the drugs talking. And after
mm-hmm.
we got done talking to you, he and I would talk to each other like, man, Quincy lost his goddamn mind.
Mm-hmm.
So talk about those days, man, that was the darkest for you. And then talk about this man right here, um, that this man right here that helped you come out of that.
Man, I started around, I'll probably say 07, 08, when I realized for the first time I would probably never play another down in the NFL, man. Um, that's when really, man, my addiction really started to take off. I was in and out of rehab for the better half of 10 to 12 years. You would speak with me when I would be clean for months. And then, I go back to, feeling sorry for myself, or something just wouldn't happen the way I wanted it to happen. And then I went back to what would make me feel good temporarily, man. And you hit it right on the head, man. It wasn't me. It was the drugs and the alcohol talking for me, man. But to really put things in true perspective, man. Really, Reggie, it was all about me not wanting to deal with my problems in the proper way, and that's really look at myself in the mirror first and see how I was basically destroying my life, man. When you're in recovery, you'll understand it a little bit better. When you start going through the 12 steps, when you start looking at your life has become unmanageable and powerless in step one, and then step two, your higher power restores you to sanity. Step three, you're giving your life over to the care of God as you understand and things like that. And as you start working the steps, man, when you get to step four and you start getting these resentments out, you start really looking at your life in whole and totality, man. You're able to recover, do the hard work, and then when you add the counseling piece onto that also, man, it's just a well-rounded program, man, that really gets you back grounded. And that's what I lack, man. I lacked that from 2005 on, because I knew in 2005 that I was in trouble. I knew that drugs and alcohol became bigger than football, and especially when I didn't get signed, and then that pain started to just take a snowball effect. And then, man, I started drinking and doing drugs more just to take that pain away, man. And I just kept continuously digging myself a hole. And then when I was getting clean for those months, or maybe, I think I got 11 months at one point, but when I never quite got a year. But when I was clean, I wasn't doing the hard work to maintain my sobriety. This is a lifestyle, man. This ain't something you can pick up and put down when you want to, especially when you become what I'm getting ready to say, but it's so real and I thought I'd never say it, is when you become an addict, man, and being able to admit that too. And that's a whole psychic change in itself, man. So,
Right.
you got to be real with this thing, man. I got a lot of friends, man, uh, that I've been able to, really talk to real about this thing, man. Those guys that sit around and just, straight smoke marijuana every day and cannot stop, whatever it is, it's an addiction,
And
man.
and, and you looking at a teammate of yours that
So yeah, man, I don't hold back from it. I tell my truths. I want to help people, man. And if any way I can help somebody with my words, man, I'm gonna do it.
and I'm proud of you, man, because I know where I know where you came from. I remember I came down there for the Texas Showcase a couple years ago, and that night we all went out to get something to eat. And I remember I had a beer, but I didn't want to have a beer because I didn't want to take you back into the mind frame that you had been. And you was like, "No, man, go ahead and have a beer, man. I'm good." Because I know when you put people around certain situations, it could take them back. And so I wanted to respect you enough to not take you back, and I'll be the reason you go back and you fall back off that cliff again. But you were like, "Man,
Yep.
go ahead, have you a beer, Reggie. I'm good, man."
Yeah,
But
but that's the thing, man. When you do the hard work, Reggie, you don't have to worry about people, places, and things and situations. And then you're able to be around people you know who gonna have your back. And I was around you. I knew you was gonna have my back. I knew you wasn't gonna let me do nothing. You know
exactly.
what I mean? But will I sit around my homeboys now while they smoke weed? No. For what? And get that temptation. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's about decisions that you make too, and the right people that you're around too, man.
We got a question, man, from Eric Baker. Uh, Says that I know you're from Georgia and you went to Georgia, but were you actually pressured to stay home for college, or was Georgia school that you always wanted to play for?
No, I'm a homer, man, and when I say that, I'm a true mama's boy to ever since. Reggie, you've seen me and my mom relationship, man, and I'm a homer, and I signed with Georgia Tech out of high school,
I read that.
yeah, and then
And
I
there was
went
some
and played.
controversy behind that too. I read there was some controversy behind that.
It was. And then I went to play baseball, and then when I came back, Joe Hamilton was doing this thing at Georgia Tech. Georgia was coming off probation. Mike Bobo was leaving, and man, everything just fell into place for me to go to Georgia, man. But no, I'm a homer, man. I'm a Georgia boy till I die, man.
Well, I'm an Arkansas boy. I'm a Razorback fan, and I know you was talking a lot of noise this year when Georgia was on that win streak. Then when Bama got them, you kind
No,
of got
mention
quiet
that
for a minute.
Arkansas game. Mention
Huh?
that Arkansas butt whipping.
Say, man.
When y'all actually had the audacity to think that y'all had a chance against us, and it was over before the first quarter was over. You remember that picture I took on Facebook when I
Yeah.
was asleep about a second quarter?
Hey, we got a question from Jermaine. Says, how big is the Florida Georgia rivalry from a player's perspective?
It's big, man. It's crazy. Um, Man, that whole week is crazy in itself because the campus is empty by Wednesday. Everybody then went down there to Florida in Jacksonville, man. So you feel that pressure, man. And man, they had some good teams when I was in school too. I think Danny Warford was still playing. One year, Fred Taylor, I think my freshman year, man. But no, that's a big game, man. You feel that game all week.
Well, let's get into a couple of Quincy Carter highlights right quick. We'll come back to some football talk. Let me.
You better score.
14-10 Cards. Now 17-10. Less than 40 seconds to go. Carter Reggie Swinton pushed out of bounds. And then the clock keeps on ticking.
It certainly seemed like he was forced out of bounds. The referee kept the clock going.
And then Carter to Swinton.
4 for first down. The blitz coming. Carter throws long. Way down. Rocket Ismail. Heading for the goal line. Touchdown. First touchdown pass in the NFL career for Quincy Carter. 64 yards to Rocket Ismail.
To not give Donovan McNabb a chance to come back. Hiding it well and throwing a touchdown to Robinson. His second touchdown, his second catch all season.
Against, and then of course it's Quincy Carter with a big game. They were shut out last week against the 8-2 Carolina Panthers. Carter. Now he has a strong arm, and Joey Galloway can do this. They missed last week's game against New England. Touchdown, Tom. 24. This changes the whole game because the next 3rd and 9. Carter to Jason Witten for a first down. And so, Emmett and the Cards were struggling. The flea flicker for Dallas. Quincy Carter on the money to Terry Glenn. It's America. It's a
Man, rest in peace to our guy TG, man.
I know, right? Dang, boy, I felt that
Rest
one.
in peace to our guy TG, man. Let's talk about something, Q. So let's go all the way back to 2001 when I first came into camp. I came into camp late from arena football, and I come in, and I wasn't there but maybe 3-4 days. And I'm still trying to learn people and learn you. And we got there in Oxnard. No. This was later. We was in Wichita Falls for a couple of days. Then went to Oxnard. After a couple of days in Oxnard, I remember coming out of my room and seeing Tony Banks walk down the sidewalk crying. And I'm like, what the hell Tony Banks crying for? So I go down to the training room, and they say Tony Banks got cut, and you was now named the new Cowboys quarterback. And I remember that. Then I remember right towards the end when we was about to eat dinner one night, and you came to me and you said, hey, Reggie, you said, man, Jerry asked me about you. I was like, and you paused. I was like, what the hell you say? You said he asked me if I liked you or not. And you paused again. I'm like, dude, what the hell you say? You was like, nah, I told him I ain't like you. I was like, what the fuck? Then you was like, no, man, I told him I like you, Reggie. I think you'll be around. At that point right there, I knew that my life was going to change because I had somebody who had some power at that time, which was you. You vouched for me. So talk about the days, if you remember that. I'm not sure if you do or not. But talk about the days when you became the starting quarterback with the Cowboys and what that was like in that transition from being a backup initially to now starting.
Man, listen, it was crazy because I was really comfortable in being the backup and learning from Tony Banks, learning actually from Anthony Wright too. And,
hey, Wright.
Yeah.
That's who I caught my first pass from when you got hurt.
And playing my role, man, and I was real comfortable in that. And then to wake up the next morning, man, and know you the starting quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, man, it was eye-opening, man. But, one thing I did have was a lot of confidence, man. And no matter what, I was going to go out there and give it my best and make sure that I'm putting our team in a position to win, man. But, no, it was eye-opening, man. My whole world opened up within 7-8 hours that, man, I got that sleep that night until the next morning, man. Yeah, so it was a different world when I woke up, man. But, hey, next man up, actually, man, I kind of hurt for Tony at that point, man, because I watched them tears roll down his eyes too. And I didn't realize, what was happening, man. But yeah, man, you never want to see a guy, get cut like that. But yeah, man, shoot, my whole world was starting to open up, and I knew that.
You remember that picture right there, what game it was? I can tell you the exact game it was.
San Francisco?
That's after you threw that touchdown pass to him, Antonio Brown against Carolina.
Oh, no, to win it?
Yeah, the game-winning touchdown against Carolina.
Okay. I was thinking San Francisco 2001.
No, I remember going to Julius Peppers after that because he was about to cry, man. He thought they had the game won, bro.
Yeah, I was thinking that was that game against the 49ers, man. We won at home our rookie year.
Man, talk about this right here, man. I know that, we both played with a great in Emmitt Smith. And many people to this day think that you were the quarterback the day that he broke the record. Let's talk about the shystiness, man, the dirty part of the league that people don't know. I want to give people the inside depth on how dirty the game is. So you were the starting quarterback 2001, 2, and then Bruce Coslet comes in 2002. For some reason, Bruce Coslet did not like me at all. I don't know why that man didn't like me. He wouldn't talk to me. He wouldn't do nothing with me, man. Didn't want to play me at all. I think 02 is when they signed Chad Hutchinson, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so it's kind of like for you, the writings on the wall when they signed a guy that came out of baseball, and they gave Chad $7 million.
Yep, 7-8 mil.
Yeah, $7 million, and Chad come in making more than you. So at that point in time, I guess you were still young and kind of green and didn't know. But when they sign somebody and give them more money than you, they trying to move you out of there. Was that because of the drug issues, or you think they didn't want a black quarterback? Let's keep it 100.
Honestly, I think it was a mixture of both, man. Because as private as I was trying to be, I wasn't a guy who was running around smelling like weed everywhere. People talk and people knew things. So maybe that could have contributed to it too. And then, him supposedly being this big prospect out there, can't miss prospect, 6'5".
But mind you, he hadn't played football in a few years. And he come out of Michigan, right?
Yeah.
He come out of Michigan. Hadn't played football in a few years.
It was definitely unprecedented. But now what I do, what you got to understand too, Reggie, that is that for any kids out here listening, man, too, at the same time, that's going to happen, man. And that's part of the game. It's up to you to get the best out of whatever reps you get and continuously developing as a quarterback, man. And you can't listen to the naysayers, so much, or even the moves that the teams are making. And so, man, and you was there with me, man. I just put my head to the ground and just kept working, man, and made sure that I, make the best out of every rep. Was I happy about it? Absolutely not. But I knew I had to go out there and still perform. So bottom line.
I think you and I both got benched around the same time because, as everybody know, I got into a fight with Emmitt like maybe 3 weeks prior to him breaking the record. And I remember when Coach Campbell came to me, it was a Thanksgiving game. Was it against the Redskins?
Yep.
And they told me that I wasn't going to dress. And I had like 20 people coming in town. I'm like, Coach, man, y'all got to dress me out. I'm like, man, put me on punt team. I'll go down and make a tackle. Never done punt team a day in my life. They found a way to keep me on the roster. And they put me on punt team before eventually taking everything from me. They gave Joey Galloway the punt return duties and gave Woodrow Dansler the kick return duties. And this fool ran a kickback on Washington. At that point, I knew my return days were over. At the same time, you lost your job to Chad on the day Emmitt broke the record. So talk about how that was, man, when you was the one that got in there, and then all of a sudden you get benched, and now Chad gets the glory of giving the ball to Emmitt on the day he broke Walter Payton's record. How did that make you feel?
Oh, man, I was hurt, man. I was hurt. But, here it was, Reggie, when I look back at it in hindsight, man, was that purposely or was it coincidentally that Chad Hutchinson got to play that game? Who knows? But what I do know is I made the awful decision of having a real bad conversation with Jerry Jones on the sideline. And that was after I threw 4 interceptions that game. And so I was frustrated about my reps. I was split in the first team reps. I was starting, but I was only getting half the reps, to go out there and be your starter. And finally, I let my frustration get the best of me. That's why, man, everything's not fair, you know, but, you got to handle your business the right way no matter what, especially at the quarterback position, because you are the CEO of that team. And not only that, man, you're basically the mayor of the whole city. So man, you got to handle your business the right way. So, I was hurt, but I didn't help myself with that conversation, man, that I had with Jerry on the sideline.
Well, man, that was a big day, man, because I remember, that we lost that game, and I just remember, man, how it was to, be able to be on the field with Emmett as he broke the record, and to be able to hear his speech after the game, man, and really, when you sit back and think about it, bro, it was really a privilege, man, for both of us to be there, even though we didn't have the roles that you and I both wanted, to be able to be on that field the day that he broke that record, man. You could see me on his highlight reel. He came on the sideline, gave me a hug, crying on my shoulders, man. So I still have that picture. So even though people think at that time that he and I was at odds, man, I will always cherish that day for the rest of my life, man, because not often are we around days like when LeBron James just broke um, um,
Kareem, my dude.
Kareem's record, or when Kobe broke a record, and we sat there and we watched Emmett tote that ball and roll over and get up and hold the ball up in the air, man. I remember that day like it was yesterday, man. So, however things went in our career as two black men that's in our 40s now, we were blessed, bro. And we can't sit here and complain
Very
about too
blessed.
much because we were truly blessed to play the game at the highest level against some of the best competition that game had to offer.
Yep. And the most amazing thing, man, that when I look back in hindsight, man, like we literally was not only rookies in first and second year play, but we got to play that early and make significant contributions to the team. Man, I never forget that 2001 and 2002 teams. Those were my best teams, man, ever playing football. My highlight was my state championship football team in my junior year too. But those two teams, man, is in my heart forever because we were the youngest team in the NFL for 2 years straight. And dude, you had to come beat us, man.
Yeah.
Like you wasn't gonna roll over for nobody. We was 5-11 them 2 years, man, but we wasn't rolling over for nobody. And
Let me
then
tell
to
you,
watch that ceremony with Emmett, man, that was pretty cool. Now I was hurt though, but just
yeah,
to watch history in itself, though, man, in
yeah,
front of your eyes, man, like I felt like a kid. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Watching history like that, man, that
But
was
the
cool, man.
place, the stadium that day was electrifying coming into the stadium.
Uh
Like the
huh.
atmosphere, I ain't never been in no atmosphere like that in my life, man. All the cameras around Emmett, wherever he went, Emmett had cameras every single place. And at that time, bro, we just didn't know how big that moment was. We didn't know then. But
Uh-uh.
now that we 40 something, we know, look back and see how big that moment was for all of our careers.
But we felt it though. We felt it
Mm-hmm.
when it actually happened though, man. And that was so real, man. And man, shout out to Michael Irvin too, man, because I'll be honest with you, man, dog, he talked to me almost that whole game on the sideline. He knew in his heart what that meant for me to be benched like that and all those festivities going on around that day and him breaking that record, man.
Yeah.
But, man, Mike stood on that sideline, man, and we dang near talked the whole game, man. That was so cool, man.
Mike was my idol, man. I remember the first time I met Mike in the locker room, bro. I was like a kid in the candy store, man. But Q, let's change subject, man. Let's talk about the dirtiness of the league, man, and let's get real with this. We got trying to see, we got about 15 minutes left. Let's talk about the dirtiness, man, of the league. Do you remember the game and about how I think some games are fixed? Before I say my piece on this, do you think any of the games that we played in was fixed? And I'll tell you why come I asked that question.
I would say no, man. Personally, you mean, but are you asking me between players, or you asking me between referees,
Coaches.
coaches? Really? I don't know, man. I've always put it like this. At times that I think coaches had agendas and they wanted other guys to play in front of you. And so maybe you may not look so good. Possibly, yes. But as far as coaches throwing games, I didn't never feel like that, though.
Do you remember the game we played in New York, 2001? Or was it 2002 when Clint Sterner started? Was that 2 or 1?
2.
2, okay. We had Ryan Leaf.
Actually, it was 1. Actually,
okay.
It was 1.
All right.
Yeah, you're right.
Do you remember we was up at halftime 28-3 with a third-string quarterback in there, mind you, because you didn't play that game. You was hurt, and I think Anthony Wright was hurt. So that's when Clint Sterner had started. Mm-hmm. Now, Clint started the week after he won against the Cardinals. But the week in New York, okay, we up 28-3 at halftime. Now, if you up that much at halftime with your third-string quarterback, what should your game plan be in the second half? To do what? Run or throw the ball?
Probably run the ball.
Okay. If you don't recall, we threw the ball that whole second half. Clint threw 3 picks. Ryan Lee came in and threw 1 pick. And we lost on the last second a field goal to Morton Anderson. I immediately at that day, I thought it was fixed. That very day. There's no way your third string quarterback is in there and you don't. Now, mind you, Emmitt was out that game too, so we had Troy at tailback, and I forget who was fullback. Maybe Jamar from Ohio State. What's Jamar?
Red Rock. Red Rock.
Yeah, Red Rock. Yeah. We lost that game. Up by 25 points at halftime. At that point, man, I said, this is something going, because I had heard games were fixed even before I got to the league. That's what made my mind go there. That how did we lose this game that we were up 25 points at halftime?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Yeah, that's hard for me to take that stance. But I will go back to the fact that that I think and you know how the script goes in practices sometimes, especially in training camps. Certain players being able to make plays within the offense, and things being scripted that way at times. But no, I'm not ready to go there though, Reggie. But yeah, I was on the bench. But yeah, man, y'all played terrible that second half.
Y'all. We got a question, man, from Lucas Dockery. Says, my son Landon was wondering what is the best attribute a quarterback wants to see in a wide receiver. That's a question for you, Q.
The best attribute that a quarterback wants to see in a wide receiver, man. I would say it's kind of 1A, 1B, both of them being on the same level. But one, he's going to be able to catch, damn near every ball you throw. And the second one is running crisp routes, man, and being in the right spots, being, timing up with the drops, so I definitely, man, would say 1A and 1B, his hands and running good routes and being in the spots where you needed him to when when you're getting ready to deliver that ball, man. So I say 1A, 1B, man.
That's big time, and hopefully he answered your question, Lucas. Again, we got my quarterback, who I caught my first NFL touchdown from 45 yards, on my boy that played for the Razorbacks, David Barrett, on with Kwame Lassiter. He missed the tackle. I didn't know Kwame had passed away, man. Did you know that?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, he died in 2020 of a heart attack, man. I was up
No.
researching this before the show, and I seen where he passed away in 2020 of a heart attack, man.
Wow. I didn't realize that,
Yeah, man. Life's short, man. You got to live it and live it well. For those of y'all that don't know, Quincy also played for the Chicago Cubs minor league team coming out of high school, right?
Yep.
You got drafted?
Yeah, I got drafted in the second round, man.
In the second round. So that's cool, man, because I turned down being drafted in baseball out of high school because I got tired of being compared to my dad and my uncle, man. My dad got drafted back in '73 by the St. Louis Cardinals, and my uncle played 2 years in Kansas City Royals. They're farm league. So baseball was my first love, man. So for those that don't know, man, if your child playing baseball, keep at it. You want to keep them injury free.
I always wonder in this picture, man. I always wonder, because that's a baseball card, too. I always be wondering, dog, is that milk on my mustache, dog? Come, because this is batting practice, bro.
Hey,
I remember because the cages are in the back, so I'm down in Fort Myers my rookie year, and I always wonder when I see this baseball card, dog, like, why do I have milk on my mustache right now, man?
but when you look at that picture, man, if you look at it and then glance away, it looked like Michael Jordan when he was playing baseball. It looked like MJ.
It's hard for me to put myself in a Michael Jordan sentence, bro. It's hard, dog. Hey, dog, I was born in Chicago. I'm a Michael Jordan fanatic, man. It's hard for me to put myself in a Michael Jordan sentence, but I appreciate that, though, man.
Listen, man, I'm gonna let's jump on to something that we disagree with. Here it is, right here. That jersey you got on. That jersey you got on. Eric Baker said he thought it was Jordan. Hey, look, that jersey you got on. For those of y'all that don't know, man, I do not care 0% for Dak Prescott as a football player, not a person. As a football player, I am not a Dak Prescott fan. Quincy Carter loves the street Dak Prescott walks on.
Yes, I do. Barefooted.
Why? Tell me why. And I'm going to tell you, let's have this debate right now.
Let's do it. First of all, Reggie, I know what that position means wholeheartedly, and he's a black man doing it. And I know the pressure that he's under. I know what the naysayers say, and I know what is being said about other quarterbacks, and I'll leave it at that. You know what I mean? Then his leadership, Reggie. And then when you look at the fact of he doesn't lose us games throwing late interceptions. We're always in the football games, Reggie. And then how he just goes about handling that position, man, is just so special, man. It's special what kind of leader he is. When you go around the complex, man, that's all they talk about is what kind of leader Dak Prescott is and him having the pulse of that team. And he does not lose us games late. He just doesn't.
He don't win us
He's
games
the
late.
most sound.
He don't win us games
He's got
late
a
either.
lot. He's got a lot of comeback victories, Reggie, that you ignore. Is he the most sound thrower of the football? No, he's not. All right. he actually ran the read option system in college. So they knew what they were getting into. Are we asking him to throw the ball too much at times? Absolutely yes. He is Steve McNair 2.0. Honestly, you give him about max 30, 32 attempts, man. Run the football.
Man,
He
don't do
did it.
McNair like
He did
don't
it in
rest in don't do
2016
McNair
with
like
it,
that.
Reggie. He did it in 2016 and led us to 15 victories.
Q, I had one good
So,
year in the league too.
say that
Now
again.
let me go over why I don't like Dak Prescott. And this is coming from a wide receiver standpoint. Everybody talks about how Dez Bryant lost a step. Okay? Dez didn't lose a step at that point. And Dak became quarterback. What was Dez's strength? Dez's strength was when Tony broke down, Dez took off. Tony scrambled
What is
around.
that, Reggie?
Huh?
What kind of offense is that? That
But I'm
didn't
saying,
work.
but I'm
That
saying
worked
when
to
it
the
broke
tune
down.
of 2 playoff wins.
But that's how Dez made his money by big plays, right? By big plays. When Dak became quarterback, what Dak do? Dak don't want to take no hit. He get rid of that ball. 3rd and 13, Dak gonna throw a swing route. So thus, when that happened, that's when Cole Beasley became hot. Cole was a no-name until Dak became the new QB. Cole catching 80 balls, Dez got 40. I wouldn't
Cole
want
was
to be.
doing that with Romo.
You wasn't that? No, he was
Cole
not.
Beasley
Not
was
Cole.
having that production with Romo.
Not the same
That
production though,
offense,
Q.
that offense was set up to run the ball, play action. All right, let Dez run some deep dig routes, some deep comebacks, maybe some goals and posts, but just to freelance and scramble and then he get his yards, man, that's a recipe for disaster, man.
But is that not?
The biggest mistake I think the Cowboys have made, man, is making Dak throw the ball 40 times a game. That's when they're in trouble. When they don't have a good equal balance, giving the defense some rest. And that happened a lot this year. And they played like that this year, just like they played back in 2016 when they won. I think it's 14-2 or 15-1. And that's the balance of that team right there. That's when they clicking on all
But
the
if
cylinders.
you as an owner and Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones, and you know that Dak is not their quarterback that can throw the ball 40 times a game, why would you succumb and give that man all that money when you know he's not what you really want?
Well, Kirk Cousins does the same thing.
But
Your boy
but the
Tannehill
difference
does
is,
the same thing for
but the
$40
difference
million.
is, Q, Kirk Cousins isn't the quarterback of America's team. The spotlight is on America's team.
America's team ain't won a Super Bowl since 1995, so I don't care about
I
it being
know that.
America's team.
I know that.
That is the value. That is the value for the quarterback with his production. We can go back to Kirk Cousins, Tannehill.
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. We know Dak got the money. Be honest. Do you think he deserved the money?
Absolutely yes, because that's the market value. The Cowboys
I'm not talking about the market value.
The Cowboys had opportunity in year 3 to pay him. They wanted to wait until after year 5 because they still didn't believe in a quarterback who had more Cowboys wins than anybody in the history of the Cowboys.
But I'm not talking about
in his
market
first
value,
3 years, Reggie. They had the opportunity to pay him $27 million. They didn't do it.
Q, I'm not talking about what the market says. Did he deserve it?
Yes, he deserved it. Yes, absolutely yes. Yes, he deserved it. Yes, they had an opportunity to pay him 25 to 30 after the first 3 years. They didn't do it. So now you got to pay 40 mil. Yes, he deserved it. Yes.
Well, look, man. Hey, Q, tonight's been
I've
fun,
enjoyed
man.
it. It's been great. It's been great. And thank you for ending on this topic too. I've been wanting to talk to you face to face about this right here.
Well, look, man. Hey, tonight's show has been great, man. I want to thank my special guest, my quarterback, whom I'm a lifetime friend, who's my lifetime buddy, man. Caught my first touchdown pass from. Always cherish that moment. Q, I can't thank you enough, man, for coming on Wide Open with Coach Reggie tonight.
Hey, man, I appreciate you being on, but Reggie, man, what you doing with those kids is special, man. Continued success, man. Keep leading and paving the way. Some of the Facebook arguments I ain't agreeing on, but, man, what you doing with them kids, man, dude, is special, man. Keep doing your thing, man, and leading the way, man. And I appreciate you, man, and I love you, boy.
Love you, bro. One more question, man, from Eric. He says, did Dez catch the ball against Green Bay?
No, he didn't.
Oh,
No, it wasn't a catch. It
God
wasn't.
damn, Q.
The rules is the rules. No. No, and let me tell you, I was just talking about this the other day, Reggie. You know what that call was really about? That call was about the call that we got against the Detroit Lions in the playoff game. We can't get all them catches. I mean, we can't get all the calls. We should have lost that game against Detroit. That was the get back call right there. No, that wasn't a catch. Stop saying that.
It was
I
a
love
wrong.
y'all though.
It was a wrong time for a get back. All right, Q. Appreciate you, man. Take care, brother.
All right, now you too.
I love you, man. Later. So, guys, that was Quincy Carter, man. It was an honor and a privilege to have my quarterback on. Before tonight's show, man, I was extremely nervous all day long about this show. My first time hosting a show solo. And my first time, asking questions as, I guess I could say, part of the local media. So give me some feedback in the comments, man. Tell me how y'all think I did in my first show, where y'all think I can get better at. We'll be back next Wednesday. I will post my guest tomorrow. But next Wednesday, again, 8:30 right here from Cafe Havana on 12th and Rodney Parham, owned by my brother Jimmy Morris, attorney Jimmy Morris. I can't thank him enough. And I thank you, Bria. Thank all of y'all for tuning in. And you have been watching Wide Open with Coach Reggie. Until next time, see you later. Peace.